We're continuing Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, Hilchot Shabbat, and we are up to Seif Chafvav from Siman Shin Aleph, and Daf Pei Bed Amud Aleph of the regular prints of your Mishna Beruras. And we spoke about the items that are considered a Kamea Mumche, the items that were considered in the time of Chazal as proven to work for refuah of people who needed to be healed, and so on. We spoke about all the criteria of what is considered acceptable that a person could carry with themselves out on their neck, and what is not considered sufficiently proven, and a person would obviously subsequently not be able to go out with that in Reshut HaRabim on Shabbat. The Shulchan Aruch continues, Ne'eman lomar harofeh al atzmo shehu mumche. A doctor is believed to say that he is an expert in order to be able to heal people, and the Mishna Berura writes, "Vehu hadin sheneman al kamea lomar shehi mumchit." He's also believed to say that this kamea, this charm, has been proven to be a kamea shel mumche, and therefore you could go out with it. Velo chashdina le'shechaven la'achshil. We don't suspect that the person would be machshil, would make a person stumble in Dvar Halacha. We have a general rule, Ed Echad Ne'eman Be'isurin, that Ed Echad, one individual, obviously we're talking about a person who's dedicated to Halacha, Shomer Torah Mitzvot. That person is, Ne'eman is believed in his testimony that something is mutar versus asur. This is not the regular halachot of testimony, which you would need require at least 2 edim ksherim. Here, be'isurim, even 1 ed would be sufficient. Maran writes, Yotz'in bebetzat chargol ubeshen shel shu'al u'masmer asaluv ben bechol ben Shabbat, enumerates number of things that were considered as a proper skula, ve'en bo mishum darchei mori. And he points out, Maran, that this is not considered an isur deoraita of following in the pathways of the goyim. The Torah Kedosha prohibits us to follow the bogus lifestyle and ways of the Emori, the Goyim, that we were conquering their land. That's why it's mentioned. Emori the Gemara in Avodah Zarah Daf Yud Aleph discusses this at length with the Ran over there, in a profound way, explaining what exactly is and what's not considered Darkei Emori. Parenthetically, it's an important and interesting parenthesis that Maran Shulchan Aruch, following the Rashba Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet, he paskined that bringing kaparot on Erev Yom Kippur is considered Darkei Emori. Because the ways of the Goyim, they kill things for no reason. And Rashba writes that he fought long and hard in order to eradicate this minhag from his country. Rashba was the foremost Meshiv. He was one of the greatest names and most famous and influential individuals in the era of the medieval authorities of Torah. Perhaps one that wrote the most prolific writer of teshuvot, of responses to all, not just his own country, but to all the surrounding countries as well. And he fought hard to prove that this is something that should be stopped and it's not mutar to have it, and hence eradicated. The Maran Shulchan Aruch also passed like that. The minhag was stopped and then returned after the time of Arizal, because there was a reason explained for it. The Rashba, the Ran both write that when you have something that does not make sense, as has no rhyme or reason behind it, that would be Darkei Emori. But if you could explain why it is that's being done, and there is a reason behind it, so then it would not be Darkei Emori any longer. And that's the psak halacha of Shulchan Aruch over here as well, that this is not considered Darkei Emori. This is not considered the ways of the Goyim. He continues, anything that is because of refuah, you're doing it for a reason and it's proven to work, that would not be Darkei Emori. If you're doing something that's not clear, that is being done for refuah, asur mishum darkei ha'emori, that would be asur because it would be darkei emori. Well, why are you doing some hocus pocus? That would not be mutar. אבל כל לחש מותר ולא אסרו אלא באותם שבדקר ואין מועילין. The lachashim that they would say, that's another thing that was prevalent in the time of Chazal, that they would have like whispers, but they would say different psukim, different things that they felt it was a benefit for it as well. However, that segula worked. Those the Shulchan Aruch says those are mutar unless you know that's proven otherwise that they don't work. Then it will become, of course, asur. And says Shulchan Aruch, there are those who actually feel that any kameh that's not proven to work, it is darkei mori, because again these are things that the goyim do. It's not necessarily chelek of Am Yisrael. It has not been given to us in that way, unless again something is proven, which would be a different story. Now, there is a lot to speak about the going out with, the people who carry mezuzahs, small mezuzahs on themselves, on a pendant, as a segula, which not necessarily a good idea. It's mutter, to have it on. You have to be careful with the halachot of what could be and can't be exposed to that, because if you have kitvei kodesh, you can't have erva, for instance, exposed to that. That being exposed to erva, rather, and a certain level of zirut that's necessary for a person to be dealing with those kitvei kodesh. But nevertheless, we're going to leave the discussion, the deeper discussions here, for a different time. We have to do what we do and we go on. But again, there's a lot that has been discussed in the poskim, whether or not the person could write a kameh on Shabbat for a choleh shesh po sakana, if you feel that kameh would be a kameh shel mumche, and other things that are considered, let's say, electronic devices that they help heal the sick. That would also be considered a question, whether or not a person could be going out with these devices that subside the pain and so on. Again, these are discussions for a different time. Says the Shulchan Aruch, mutar latzet b'rshut harabim betalit saviv savar. A person could go out in the Reshut harabim with a talit around their neck, ve'af al pi shemaniach sad yamin al ketefo, even though that you're putting the right side on the left shoulder. It's derech malbush. That's the way people wear it, and there will be any time that you're wearing something the way it's worn outside by people, then it will be mutar to carry it around. And this is not necessarily a contradiction with the previous seif, because we're talking about the countries that they actually wear these things in this manner, and they go out in the Reshut harabim, and therefore it will be mutar even if it's folded and put around the neck. That would still be mutar, because the people in that country wear this garment in this fashion, and it will be fine. Says the Shulchan Aruch, hayotze me'utaf betalito ve'kipelah mikan u'mikan beyado. If a person goes out with the talit and has folded it with his hand on his shoulder, if you are trying to save the tzitziot that should not be dragging and getting ripped on the floor, or not get dirty, then it's asur, because then you're carrying that. But if you're doing it in order to beautify yourself, it's a fashion, the way you're wearing it, and so on and so forth, it's the way people do it, then obviously it would be mutar. Anything, again, bekitsur, anything that is derech malbush is mutar, but if you're wearing it in a way that you end up carrying a piece of it because you don't want it to get dirty, that would be obviously a problem. This is in their time, that their garments were one square large cloth that they wrapped around themselves, and then they would have a belt on top to keep it together. Aber malbushim didan, what the one we have that has sleeves and a neck and a shape of a body really is sewed up the way a person's body is. When you put your sleeves on, you're wearing it, then mutar litvos ketzatam. Then you could kind of like pick up the sleeves of your coat, ulhagbiham, elevated in order not to get dirty, because that's really mamash your garment that you're wearing. Therefore, it will be fine, says the Shulchan Aruch. If a person goes out with money that he has in his belt, in the sadin that he wears, it was again a piece of garment, large one that they would wrap around their waist, that would be considered the way people carry it, and it would be obviously chayav, because any time that you carry something and it's the way people carry it, that would be considered derech hotza'ah, and will be an obligation on Shabbat. Aval bebayit mutar, but inside the house is mutar, im sarich lo, if you need it. Va'afilu enan serurim, even says the Rama, if they are not bagged up, the money, rakshem menukavim, it would be still the same halacha, that you have, again, even if they are not regular coins that are used in the country, but they've been poked a hole inside of them, then it still would be the same halacha. The Mishna Berura writes, "Zehuvim aduvim o matbeot kesef, then alahu shem muktzem alideze." Then they don't have the name of muktzeh because they're considered a collector's item, so to speak. This is like old things that people now use as pendants and tachshit, something to beautify themselves with as garments. That would be obviously no longer considered muktzeh, and therefore it would be a little bit different. That brings us up to Seif Lamed Gimel, and Be'ezrat Hashem will continue the next Seifim the days to come.